Welcome back, everyone. So, I've been talking in this video about a few things I'd like to see added to the Conan Exiles Age of War Part 2. So a quick bit of information for what I know about the Age of War Part 2's bringing is a revamped system to the perks. So essentially, the more gold you've got or the more valuables you've got in your treasury room, the bigger, and I think the more sieges you're gonna get, or like, I don't know if it actually means the longer the sieges or like the actual bigger the sieges are, or you'll get them more frequent, which makes sense obviously because if you've got a lot of treasure, you're going to be getting a lot more people trying to steal it. But that's going to be something me personally I think is a really good way for the purge to happen. Now, as you'll be able to see in the background, I've actually got a purge going to be coming in soon enough. I actually can't wait for the Age of War Part 2. And also, so just for, I believe it will be, well, I looked up earlier, it's about 91 days is apparently how long the battle passes last. Now, that's, well, essentially that's 3 months, roughly. So, released last month, I think it was released last month, it is. I've actually got the information. Yeah, so June, it was sometime in June. So say June, you got July and then August. So possibility it will either be August or September, I reckon it will be released. The part 2, so you've got a fair while to complete your battle passes. So that's where that's good, and obviously building up your stuff. So what I'm going to be doing for mine is building a castle, and I'm not sure on my keep, because the keep is where essentially you got your king, and for what I've seen on pictures and stuff, how keeps are usually made, I'm also going off like something like Skyrim for the example, and pictures online, is essentially how a keep works is you have about 3 to 4 layers. You have usually a storage shed sort of thing under, like, is the very bottom layer, and then you've got like your great hall, and then you've got, say, your king's bed chambers, and then you've got something else above that. Might be like the master room sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to be making for my own my own place of sort of living. So some things I would love to actually see added to the Age of War Part 2, and there'll be a few weaponries in that, but there'll be a few little qualities of life. So I was talking about in a video the other day of the what they call the drawbridges. Now drawbridges are absolutely useless in single player because you've got to pull the chain for them to come down. So something I would like to see added for the part 2, especially if you're going to go and do something like build a castle, because it kind of makes sense, you know, treasury rooms, castles, sort of thing like that, guards, all that type of things. So yeah, I'd like to see some type of revamp for the drawbridges so they're more like a workstation. So how they could work would be, depending on how you got them, obviously, and see, we could have them set to different things, is say if whatever thrall you've got there, so maybe add in a new thrall, we should say called the gatekeeper, or you can say add whatever fighting thrall or something like that, although you kind of want, I'm thinking, a thrall that's going to be able to essentially stay with the gate. So if you have fighting thrall, obviously you're going to have that problem of, they could run off real quick, or it gets added, so essentially the fighting thralls there, you can take them in and out whenever, but have it some settings so it's like, say, it remains down at all times unless you're there. So say, no, if you're there, so like it remains down unless there's, say, an enemy within range. So I'm actually just going to head over to the castle thing I've got actually built over here that I wish I did in the video. But essentially it's like, so once you've got an enemy that's so close, like whatever range, we'll just sort of run over here. I'm over encumbered in this. So say something about here. So the drawbridge is down and you've got an enemy coming in or something. and once it gets in that target range, what happens is the thrall pulls the chain, drawbridge goes up, and it becomes secure like that sort of thing. So it closes like that could be an option, and or to make it so it's like, or have it as the option maybe. Obviously, so it's that's one option. To have it down all the time. Whenever there's an enemy, it gets put back up, or it's closed all the time. And when the thrall detects you coming in range, then it will lower the drawbridge for you. That's something that would be, well, a phenomenal thing for one. Even if you don't build a castle, even just a sort of what do you call it, like a quality of life thing. And I've just noticed up here is actually my other base, and the purge is happening over there. I'm like down here, so that's interesting. I got that's interesting stuff. I don't know. It's not down here. I've still got stuff built down here, but I don't know. So yeah, that's one thing that essentially a quality of life that would be really, what would be detrimental, I think that might be the word, to add it, to make it really sort of bring in that Age of War sort of thing. Because as obviously it would be a really cool thing for that thing of castles, because a lot of castles had the, and or bring in a new one which are like the medieval gates. I don't know if they're a specific name, but they're the ones where it's like they're squares all among them. I might even be able to show this. So that they look like this pretty much. When they're like that, and they've got like the steel spikes in them, so they go all the way down and they lock in. Something like that even. So even if that's what happens with the thralls, you build them, you can throw a thrall in that and they'll lower that gate. Either other way, personally I think would be good. That actually, that medieval sort of proper gate thing would actually be really cool. Because again, it just bring that thing. Obviously, not everyone's going to want to build a castle. That's fine, obviously. But to me, Age of War, having to defend your gold, castles just make sense. So another thing is weaponry. So in all reality, all we have for weaponry is, well, we don't actually have a lot. If we go over to knowledge, these spikes essentially are only things we have, and I may not have it. I don't know actually where it would be. I'll see if I can actually find it so I can actually properly show. I may not. I do know I have it unlocked somewhere, but I don't remember where it would be. But anyway, what are they called? They're the things, if anyone actually knows what they're called, let me know in the comments. But they're the things that, they're like big cauldrons, and they pretty much have, for sieges, they either have hot tar or oil or something like that in them, and that essentially be dropped onto the enemies, and yeah, you could paint a picture for yourself. So stuff like that. The spikes are essentially the only actual weaponries we have. So a few weapons that I've looked this up. I actually got it here. Castle siege weapons. You got ballistas, trojans or something. They're essentially the slingshots, sort of things. Battering rams and towers. Other siege weapons, which just sort of would work with those as well. With this video, with this part was ballistas, battering rams, the trojans again, catapults, siege towers, cannons, bombardments. What else we got? And siege rams. A lot of them are very similar, and a lot of them are more so for taking on a castle. Now, to my knowledge, the new enemy that gets like the gold raiders, I suppose we'll call them gold raiders or something, or treasure raiders. I believe, how they work is they're going to essentially set up, say, a camp over here, and then they're going to bring their forces over here and try and take us on. Now, a really cool thing with these, I believe they're going to have the trudgents, or the catapults, what do you want to call them? I think catapults and trudgents are essentially the same thing, they're just different designs. One's the trudgents, I don't know if that's the right way you pronounce it. They're essentially, from memory, they're like the ones where you... they still got stuff to be thrown, but it's like usually, one I usually see is where it's like, they've got the rope attached, and you pull the lever, and some of them, they snap, the rope snaps, and you have to like re-throw a rope or something, I think some of them were. And I think catapults are usually the ones where you wind them up and they've got like a chain in them, same thing, they throw boulders, and that's that pretty much. So essentially those are just, they're going to have stuff to throw boulders at your place, which a castle with really big ass walls is a really good idea. And obviously with the castle walls we can make them pretty damn high. So that's one option for that, because well, again, they're going to have that sort of thing, and if they have battering rams it will be cool. But if you have something like this as a layout, let's make it over here slowly. So as we can see here, this foundation here is raised up. So only thing that I can imagine that would work would be if you have the triangle type slopes. Say something like that. So yeah, say you have something like this as a slope sort of thing, so the trudgents, or say the battering rams can actually go up and then smash into the walls. If that was an option, that would be a cool thing. If they had that, I don't know if they could, because I don't know, like with the AI sort of thing, with the tower, not towers, the drawbridge, and that, if that's even going to be possible on the current consoles, if that, and it would be terrible if that was only like a next gen console type thing. But I do know, I believe from the trailer for the Age of War Part 2, what I've heard is the enemies possibly could be riding around horses, which would be a phenomenally awesome update for their AI. But a battering ram type thing would be pretty cool. Or we have those frost giants type things. So that's actually I've just thought of, is maybe, depending on where you're at, say you're in like where there's rhinos, you'll have them come in with rhinos trying to smash your walls down. Say depending on where you're at, say maybe the snow, you might have the frost giants come in, like a specialized frost giant called say the battering ram frost giant, for the example, just for a name. If you know, stuff like that, so they'll, whatever it is, either, or say a mammoth, again depending on where you are at, there's some type of enemy that could be used as a battering ram, so maybe not an actual physical, not like a wheel of pain, essentially, where they get assigned to them and then you kill them off it sort of thing, you shoot them, they die, and then say a new one could pop into it. Have it so it's just like an actual enemy that you essentially have to take down, and they can't essentially stay in your walls, and so they could be done so they do extra damage to structures, or those do straight up more damage, because being hit with a giant piece of wood from a frost giant is going to hurt. So stuff like that would be a cool option like that, just something, so you've got your long range attackers and then you got like your melee attackers sort of things, would be really cool to add. And then so for defending ourselves, now there are siege towers, I believe they're called. Yeah, siege towers. So for what I can understand, they're essentially a Archer Tower on wheels. Now, I think this would be a dumb thing to add into the game, just because it would be... I think it would be too hard, one, to implement into the game, because it would have to, again, be like a Wheel of Pain type thing you can assign them to, but then they can actually... Well, it would have to move, so I reckon there'd be too many bugs with that. So, personally, I don't think something like that would be good. Also, I did a video on how to do the Archer Towers, and I'm just going to bring that up. With them, essentially, you could pack them with, well, depending on how big you want to make your Archer Tower, you could put like 20 odd Archers in it, in per tower, but where you've got like a Siege Tower, you may only be able to put 5. So that's just an example for stuff like that. So yeah, that wouldn't work, but the cauldron things that tip down oil or grease or something, they need to be revamped again as well, to be sort of like, again, something you can actually assign a thrall to. So maybe make it so it's like the Wheel of Pain, where you'll assign them to structure. So yeah, you assign them to the structure, and then obviously we've got the inventory slots, which I'll show for anyone who's wondering. Obviously, so what I mean by this stuff is, yeah, you put your thrall up here, and then you've got your inventory space, which could be, you fill this with either tar or oil or anything like that. So they automatically dump it when you've got, and this would be a really cool thing actually as well, is if enemies can climb tower walls. And this as well, that reminds me, I'll get that in a minute. So essentially, either if they're climbing walls or if they're close enough to the wall, the tar stuff will go down and hit them. I don't know if they could add that in, because I reckon that would be, that's like flowing water, so that's, I think, pretty hard to have in games. So I don't know, honestly. Maybe just having like the effects would be cool like that. And so yeah, with the Archer Towers, I believe there is already a sort of thing. It would be the stone fence type things, because they've got spikes on them, which I think usually stops enemies from climbing. But we need more like them, or specific things where you can put around the very bottoms or the actual towers or whatever, to be actual spikes, so you could prevent enemies, if they do add climbing enemies into the game, which again would be awesome, climbing enemies, to stop them from being able to climb up there permanently, sort of thing, so they'd actually have to attack the parts. Stuff like that would be really cool to add as well, because again, it's going to be near enough impossible. The ballistas, I reckon that would be pretty cool. You know, if you got like this, for the example, like your 2 Archer Tower sort of things, and you've got a thrall either side on ballistas, you know, if you got trudgents or catapults flinging giant rocks or something, like the giant rocks, that could be a thing like that. You could set them to say target enemies first, or target the trudgent things first, sort of thing. I mean, yes, it could make trudgents useless, I will admit that, because it's like if the enemy's only got 2 and you've got, say, 30 of these ballistas sort of thing, yes, it would make it impossible for them to raid, but then it would be like, you know, the more gold you've got, the harder it's going to be. Although I don't know if it's still going to be like a certain level, like this current Persia, where it's like level 6. I don't know on that hand. Or if it's like, yeah, say you got 10 million value of valuables in your vault, if you're going to have like a humongous wave sort of thing, like a all-out war, hence Age of War. So that's actually one thing like that I reckon would be pretty cool to add as well. Just sort of things like that, and you know, maybe revamp the archers, because we're probably going to need them. And obviously you got your fighters. You could have fighters all around your walls, or again, whatever you're going to use to defend it. I personally don't know what anyone would build. Let me know actually in the comments what you'd be building as your treasury room. As is, mine's going to be like a medieval castle. So another thing as well would be cool to be added and seen, and this I personally believe should have been added with Age of War, Age of Sorcery, is wizards. warlocks and all that type of stuff. So what that could be is, say, the sorcerers you've got. Say you got a necromancer, for example, a sorcerer that you broke, they turned into, and so you're seeing they could have a random chance of being in them, or once you level them up. So it's like their skills are like what magic they could use. That would be a cool thing like that. So it's like if you broke a sorcerer, leveled them up, although yes, you'd have to make them so that had to be pro-made to be followers. I don't know if they actually can be or not. But or even like a normal archer or fighting thrall. Point still being though that maybe even as is add in a sorcerer, or again we got sorcerers, so why not a wizard sort of thing, or a spellcaster enemy. So how they could work is say their first level is again necromancy. Their second level could say increase the amount of necromancy they could do, or amount that they can summon, and third would increase that more. If they're say fire, ice, poison, lightning, stuff like that, they can control all those type of things. You can have like illusionary sort of ones. You have your summoners of like the what do we call it? I'll show very quickly if I can find it. That's going to. Yep. So we would do say, well, you got that. I'm trying to think what would be cool. Say death and undead. Say, and see, even the sorcerers could be doing stuff like this. We so need more spells. Oh, no, we don't want that then. I don't know. It might actually be one of the other things. Yeah, it might be another thing. Anyway, so yeah, so sort of thing like that, and we can summon the demon horses and that. So stuff like that. We have stuff that obviously can summon a wide range of things, or even just a general fighter that could say, you got an axe wielder, and then boom, they throw a fireball or something. I don't know, something like that. Again, this wizards would be cool because again, you could do like your little wizard towers, which are essentially an archer's tower, pretty similar things. And so that's as is one really cool thing that'll be added. I don't think I've got anything else I can think of personally. I don't know these written down either. It's just things I've just been thinking of just for them to add. Oh, actually, no, I have just thought of something. So for the treasury room, I believe there is a dude you have to... There's a dude that is there. We shall head over there for a minute. Well, actually, no, it would be easiest to show here. There it is. So with this, actually, we'll just do fly building. So with this, obviously, we got this dude here. Okay. So my idea would be, with sort of how this guy would work, or again, sort of a new thing for the next update, would be even like a new structure for bodyguards, so you can essentially protect your gold better. I mean, again, yes, you can obviously just put any thralls down there, but it needs to be some type of thing that gives these treasury bodyguards some type of specialty. So maybe again, they have to be assigned to these things, whatever they could be, say a mat or something. Just obviously like so they're standing there, but the ones who are guarding the treasury, they have say increased health or increased attack speed or increased damage or something or movement speed, or even a bit of all. So essentially, like they're your top tier warriors. Again, you can just chuck your thralls there, but something like that would be cool to add. So it's like they're very. There's just something to make them stand out above everyone else. You know, above all the other thralls around. Again, you could say, you know, well, they'd get special weapons. Yes, you could give them special weapons, though. So it needs to be just some type of thing, I don't know, but just some type of thing that distinguishes them from essentially the rest of your thralls. Because, again, yes, you could say, oh, put different armor on them, but maybe you don't want to put different armor. Maybe, as is, you want something, I don't know what it could be. Comment on any ideas on what it could be that, again, could be that that icing on the cake for treasury bodyguards. I don't know personally, but even if it's actually an armor or weapon, though, that is unique only to them, it's not something that's craftable, it's only something like, well, I suppose maybe say like this dude. I don't know if you can get this outfit, but yeah, just some type of unique item that is like that, but then say you can customize that armor and weapons to look a certain way. But you know, again, it has to be something that's unique only to say that station, sort of thing, as is, because it just needs to be that ice on the cake, which, as I said, you can obviously just change it, give them armor, but it just needs to be. That I think is all I can think of. In all honesty, that's probably about all I can think of in terms of what needs to be added. A little bit of a long video, but yeah, as is, it just for me personally, Age of War, well, again, the war stuff, treasury rooms, it just, to me, it screams medieval castles sort of things. Yeah, big fights, you've got like your kings and that, and you got like your massive armies and whatnot. Although with the sort of nerf to followers, there could be a problem. It could be a big problem for followers, obviously, if they're going to do less damage. As is for me personally, I'm going to be having this, pretty much most of these icy parts around here. I don't know if this here may even actually stay here, because I do like this, my building that I've done here. I think I've done a pretty good job, honestly, with even with that. Although that it all may not stay there, but I might change things. But anyway, point still being though, I'm going to build a castle. It's going to be really big around here. May even wrap around to here actually. Don't know what those are. Ooh. That's something new. That's actually might be an idea for me. Is my treasury might be up here. I don't know. But yeah, it's stuff like that I reckon would be cool to add. And one actually other thing I've just thought of, just for the treasury, is maybe I kind of think, I know these are like, actually, can we see the... Okay, you can't actually physically... Well, you can see it when it's like that. Although, actually, how far... So you can have actually... Oh my god, you can have mobile treasuries. But from my knowledge, it's an 8x8 square sort of thing. That's where it's weird, because it's a circle. Oh my god, the bean's defeated. We're just going to go over there quickly and have a look at that. But yeah, it should be something as well that you can change it from square to circle, because if you have a square building, why would you have a circle thing? But anyway, but any building structures within that circle should be like increased damage, or maybe not damage exactly, but some type of increased durability. Not fully going to show that off. That's some other stuff. And that's so, and as well, this is my. Well, I was talking about my Archer Tower things. Is essentially it's like you know that you can have so many in these. I think I did quite well with these as well. But yeah, point still being though, yeah, just a few of those things like as is maybe even if they don't add in the drawbridges, even the bare minimum of those gates would be amazing. But I mean, Age of War Part 2 is obviously it's going to be amazing anyway. The new revamp for the Purge system is going to be... I can't wait, quite frankly. I've already completed my Battle Pass. I kind of actually must say, they've either got to do... I completed it within like a couple hours. I know I'm flying around in that, but what I actually do for my Battle Passes is... it's a bit of a tip for everyone before I do finish. See the one there, 150. That is the ones you want to do. So you normally get about 20 XP multipliers. If you just do the 70s and the 150s, you will essentially finish off your battle pass really well. Again, within a few hours. You don't have to. If you're flying around, if you're on single player and you fly around, you could probably get it done within like half an hour, honestly. Especially if you go spawn things in, but if you go out, find things, especially if you know where to find them, it's going to be a lot damn easier to find things if you know where they are, if you can move quick enough. But yeah, as there's Age of War Part 2, I can't wait. It's going to be so awesome. It's going to be interesting how they revamp the systems and that, and if they do have enemies on the horses, that will be just phenomenal for that, because it is just going to be amazing for that. And I honestly can't wait to see what people do build for their treasury rooms, because as is, I know I'm trying to build, but I'm not sure exactly how I want to build them. There's so many ideas out there. I have my own ideas how I want to have it, so yeah. But anyway, I hope everyone has enjoyed. And I've been rambling on a few times, but as is, I just get was so enthralled with stuff like this because I do find it so cool. A lot of this stuff. Actually, one thing would be really cool. So before we do finish off, is if we take our own little army. So say maybe when a purge happens, we can have our own little sort of bodyguard army sort of thing. Say maybe like say 10 people, and say we sneak into where they're hiding or something, say with the invisibility or something, and say we capture the commander, we can bring them back, break the thralls, break them on the wheels of pain, or they're seconds in the commands or something, or maybe that could be a thing, is say if you knock out the gold thief treasury thieves, then you'll get say worse ones, or you'll get like maybe a strike, and the more strikes you get, the more they'll come after you, sort of thing. Maybe they could be your prisoners of war sort of thing, and they have to. The more of them you have, the more they'll be annoyed, and then like say more often you actually get attacked. That would be a cool thing. But anyway, now that I've finished rambling, hope everyone has enjoyed, and yeah, can't wait for Age of War Part 2, and also see everybody next time.